I'd like to welcome the Island Getaways Travel Tribe and my fellow USC alumni. Thank you for joining us today for another Lunch and Learn webinar. Today we are taking a virtual journey along the Danube, which happens to be the second longest river in Europe. It actually flows through 10 countries, extending from the Black Forest in Germany to the Black Sea. So we do have a lot of ground to cover, and we do respect your time. So I'm going to keep my introduction very, very short. I will be sharing some important updates after the formal presentation at the end of the session. But I'd like to reintroduce my co-host, Brian Rademacher, who is a business manager for AMA Waterways. He has decades of experience with ocean and river cruising. And I'd like to reintroduce our special VIP expert guest, Sebastian Leroy, who's joining us actually from Florida. Brian and I are in California, and Sebastian is in Florida. He is a French native, grew up in Normandy, studied wine and winemaking, and worked for a winemaker in Germany for 8 years. But he has also worked with AMA Waterways as a cruise manager for many years. So I'm going to hand this over to Brian to get us started very, very quickly.
Thank you, Jacinta. Hey, everybody. Good to see you all again. Thank you for your patronage and coming to these series of webinars. Today I think it's our 5th one, right, Jacinta? I think we said number 5. And we're going to tell you a little bit later about number 6, which is next week and another cool destination. But today, again, we're happy to be presenting one of the key rivers, iconic rivers in Europe, of course, the blue Danube, the beautiful Danube. So, and again, Sebastian is with us from Naples, Florida. Beautiful day in Naples. We've got rain here in Petaluma. It's kind of cold, chilly. That's why I've got this little zip thing on here today. But anyway, again, thank you so much, Jacinta. And this is being recorded, so that's kind of nice. We'll share that recording with Jacinta. And then there is a question box there for you. You can feel free to type in your questions, just like the last time. We'll get to those a little bit later on. I should go back, and there's Jacinta's contact information, both her phone number and her email address there for you. And again, thank you so much in many different languages. Today we'll say Dankeschön, since we're on the Danube, and we're very pleased that you could, as I say, join us. We always show this image about oceans taking to the countries and rivers taking you through them. Of course, this being the beautiful Moselle River, an apt certainly picture to show you, because river cruising is indeed that, where you're always within a given country's boundaries, beautiful towns, villages, and cities that you'll see. Wonderful way to do Europe, no question about it. Our new tagline, if you will, is the heart of the river. Ama means love in the Latin root word amare. So we do feel like we present to you the heart of the river in many different ways. Just a reminder that last year we did get to cruise for 4.5 months. We were the only North American brand that did. So that experience, totally invaluable as we bring that forward to whenever it is we start cruising this year. Knock wood, we'll be cruising later this year. Our owner is on record as saying he thinks it'll be sometime in the August timeframe, knock wood again. Hopefully that is the case indeed. But this experience, as I mentioned, operating last year for 4.5 months, actually on the Rhine, we were fortunate to have no COVID cases, which was the intent certainly. But again, the experience was invaluable in terms of what we'll bring forward, in terms of what we learned. And this program has been extended till April 30. What I say program, these are 2 different types of added insurance. We have our traditional cruise protection plan that we always offer. These other plans are there for you as well, because we have found that people want flexibility and peace of mind when they're booking their future travel. So both the Ultimate Cruise Flexibility Plan as well as the Travel Waiver Plus plan give you added flexibility and peace of mind. Jacinta can tell you more about that, but just wanted to make mention because it was going to end on March 31, now extended through the end of April. So there we have the map of the Danube, and this is where I get to hand it over to my colleague and my friend, Sebastian Leroy, coming to us from, as Jacinta mentioned, Naples, Florida. And so we're very pleased to turn it over to Sebastian. And Sebastian, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, your pronunciation is better every time. We should do 10 or 12 more, and then it will be absolutely amazing. Yeah, thank you for having me again. Very excited to talk about this river. Actually, for this part of the river, the Danube, as was just mentioned by Jacinta, is the second largest river in Europe. And what you see here, what we will go through first, will be the Upper Danube, because you really need a lot of time to be able to visit so many countries, so many places, because of course many of you have been here before. So you know that with Ama Waterways, you will have a lot of choices when it comes to excursions, when it comes to possibilities of exploring an area. But it's not only about the excursions. I like to start with also a unique ship that we have. And we have our beautiful fleet, but the Danube is very special because we have one ship that is a little different from the others, and that's the Ama Magna. When I say a little different, it's actually very different because she's twice as wide as any river cruise ship in Europe. So she is the same length, but twice as wide. Doesn't mean twice as many guests. That's also very important, especially these days. We want the space. So a beautiful ship, 196 guest maximum capacity on board. And if you want to know more about her, feel free to ask Jacinta. She knows. I mean, all these different dining venues, spa, everything that the Ama Magna has to offer. Feel free to ask her. One little thing that is very unique about the Ama Magna, which as living in Naples, Florida, if you don't golf, it's like somebody who goes to Paris and says, I didn't want to see the Eiffel Tower. So we have a golf program on board the Ama Magna. It's a unique golf program. Nobody else does that. And the golf courses that we have selected for you, we have a concierge person specifically for the golf program. There is no minimum. If you have one person who wants to go golfing, we will start it. And we go to European PGA Tour venues. These are private courses in different countries. So it goes through. So we have one course actually we can do one in Prague. But then we have during the cruise one in Germany, one in Austria, one in Slovakia, and one in Hungary. The one seen here, the diamond course that's in Atzenbruck, so that's just outside Vienna. This is actually one of the two with Gutenhof. This is one of the two courses where you have the Austrian Open. So really a beautiful place. And if you want to know about it, feel free to ask Jacinta. She will be able to help you with that great program that will be, but that's a sneak peek. It's not even official, but you will know it today. We will expand that. We will be able to go golfing to some other places. But the Danube is amazing. Why? Because you can really visit it at different times of the year, and it's different every time. What you see here, that's in Budapest. Actually, that's a view from the Gellért Hill. So just in the city center, really, and really the city is absolutely beautiful at every time of the year, and all of them, because you have different lights, and people live with the four seasons. You have different colors in town, and you will have really, when you start coming to this area in spring, you will have this open landscape that will open to you. What you will see as well is a strong flow of water of the Danube. Why? Because you have this very nice ice melting coming from the Alps. It gives you very steady flows of water. It's always absolutely beautiful to be there. Just to take a little sip. You're on the sun deck. I'm just here on the ship. Just take a little glass of wine and enjoy what you have around you. That's Dürnstein, for example, really an amazing place to be. But you have really the possibility to visit and to stay outside a lot. That's not the moment where you're like, it's too cold. No, the temperatures are superb. And you can visit really all these areas. Of course, unique places. That's the Great Market Hall in Budapest, once again. And so that's a visit. You have to go there. Just for the building, first of all, because you just see a very little part of it here, but also the inside. You've never seen such a busy market hall. If you love paprika, go for it. If you want to just walk around, smell what you have around yourself, go for it. And that we take you there with the groups, but we also want you to be able to enjoy that on your own if you wish, because the ship is really docked in the heart of the city. So really, these markets, you will find them popping up everywhere. That's something very, very European. So to have these farmers market coming all the time, and depending on where you are, I mean, it's not like oh, it's Tuesday, I missed it. No, don't worry, because if you missed this one on Tuesday, there's another one 10 miles further that will be there on Wednesday, and etc., etc. So you can see all these. But the beauty, as I said, is that the temperatures start really being nice, and you can go for hikes. And this one that you see here, the Dürnstein Fort, that's where Richard the Lionhearted was imprisoned. That's a hike. That's a real hike. He was imprisoned there for almost 6 months. And you will learn, of course, about all the legend of his menestrel, who found him. I mean, when you look at it really today, you're like, really, he found him this way? But that's how the legend is, and that's why legends are so beautiful, is that they're not really believable, but that's how history is sometimes. And the view that you have when you arrive up there is absolutely amazing. If you want to bike, look at that. I mean, that's picture perfect. And of course, you see the ship in the background. It's totally normal, and that the ship is cruising. We did not forget the folks who are on the bikes. It's just that you go from point A to point B, and the ship picks you up at the end of your excursion. So it's very nice. You go through the Vaquel Valley, where you will get to also discover beautiful wines, not while you're biking, of course, mostly after that, but beautiful wines. And Grüne Veltliner, if you like white wine, crisp white wines, absolutely wonderful. And why do we have the wine cruises at that time? Simply because it is great to have the wine hosts at that time, because when you think about what is the work to do in the field, not that much. Okay, because that's where you have really the blossoming. So okay, you will have to go make sure that everything is fine, but that's where the grapes start forming. But there's not that much that they can do. So they have time to come with you on board the ship, tell you about the wines and about the regions where you are. And trust me, it's always very, very fun to have a live wine tasting. And even if you don't drink wine, just getting the information about the landscape, about you get geological information. It's absolutely amazing on the ship and off the ship. But of course, a wine cruise doesn't mean that you will have to do wine. If you're not a wino, and if your husband or your wife is, no worries. We will still have the entire array of excursions, and you must see the wine experience as an extra layer, and that comes on top of everything else.
That's right.
Now,
and this is where I'll jump in and do a little quick summary to what Sebastian just mentioned, and certainly a little bit more on the bikes, where it does say great for biking, because you might wonder, so there's guided tours. So on the bikes, there'll always be a guide at the front and a guide at the rear of the line of bikes for the fastest and slowest riders. So that's kind of nice to be able to take advantage of that. Plus, you can take the bikes out on your own as well. In some of these places you'll visit, you might just want to ride around town and go off on your own. You're certainly able to do that. Also, when Sebastian does mention the wine cruises, these are actually our highest rated cruises. When he said an added layer of just things to do and things to experience, we find that our guests that come on these guest winemaker cruises, or celebration of wine cruises as we call them, really come off thinking, wow, it was kind of like the icing on the cake. So that all, again, happens in springtime. Of course, the open landscapes and longer days as well. Beautiful picture here of Salzburg, Austria, which you have the opportunity to go spend a half day or recommended full day in Salzburg. We'll talk more about that. All right, now let's move to summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I mean, Salzburg, if you've never been there, go for the entire day. I mean, you don't want to just go for a couple of hours, have a guide who will, of course, give you a great overview, but then you would be like, I have to go. No, take your time. You have the time. So enjoy the city for what it is. It's in the mountains. I mean, it's absolutely magnificent. And what you see here, actually, I just talked to you about this hike where I said it's a real hike. Now, this castle where Richard the Lionhearted was imprisoned, that's the place. That's the view that you have from up there. So it's really, I mean, and when you're up there and you see all the scenery around you and you see the entire valley, you just see a little part here. But on the left, you have the sand plain, the so-called Sandgrube that extends for miles and miles and miles. It's absolutely superb. So of course, summer on the Danube, summer for everybody means that the temperatures will be higher. They will be higher, but they're always very nice. They're always very nice. Most of the time, what happens is that when you're in a valley, there is the wind is actually in a wind corridor. So there is always this nice wind. Plus, when you're cruising, the wind, the ship itself creates its own wind. So it's really a nice ambiance that you have. You can enjoy a little, again, a glass of wine, a cocktail, or a non-alcoholic beverage. We don't want to push anybody to consumption here. It's really, really nice. You're in the swimming pool and you look at the scenery. You have your cruise manager describing what you have around you. I'm sure that everybody will agree that if you pass Bratislava, like you see here, it's nice to get some information about the castle, about the church that you see right next to it, St. Michael, the history of the city. So really a beautiful time. This is also the time when you're in town. Yeah.
The daylight, right? You have longer days, so the gloaming, the sunset, really, it stays light quite late in the evening, right?
And there's a picture in a few slides that really shows that very, very well. So not the next one. The next picture is also great because I like the fact that you can spend, since you have this daylight from very early to very late, your free time, you can really enjoy the terraces. And you see that there is space, there is really space everywhere. So you can enjoy, it's not crowded or something. You can really enjoy these cities. And that what's also very interesting on the Danube is that you really have 3 large cities. So Budapest, Bratislava, and Vienna, but the rest are very small. So it's not like when I hear you talking about biking and going in town, it's more going in the village, really. It's really what it is. And that's the beauty, the beauty of this experience, that you will be with the real people. And you get this intimate experience. What I love about Austria, and it's not only Austria, of course, so Slovakia, Hungary, but really in Austria, everybody, I'd say 99% of the people speak English. So there's no need also to be scared about a language barrier or anything. That's never a problem on and off the ship. That's the beauty. But when you see the Basilica of Esztergom, which you see here, which is, so Esztergom, before Budapest was the capital, so I'm talking now medieval times, really Middle Ages, Esztergom was the capital of Hungary. And this basilica here, until St. Stephen's was built in Hungary, was the largest basilica in Hungary. And nowadays, when you pass that in the evening, this could very well be at 8 or 9 p.m. You're much farther north. So this means that in summer, you will have daylight until almost, if you come end of June, beginning of July, mid-July, you will have daylight until 10 p.m. Easy.
Right. So you see the moon right here over to the right where I got my cursor. There's the moon rise coming.
Yeah. It is really, really nice to be at that time. It's really, if you have people who are passionate about photography, for example, you have the lights are also very intense. So the colors are very intense. That's because the position of the sun compared to the earth, basically the inclination of the earth is different. So you have really intense colors. But if you like something different, if you have a sweet tooth, that's also the best moment to try the Marillen. So the Marillen, that's the German name, the Austrian name for the apricots. And we have a lot of these little excursions, culinary delights, so culinary experiences that you will be able to take part to. It's just if you want to have to discover a city in a little bit of a different way, instead of going on a city tour, on a bike tour, sometimes you want to get a different approach. If you arrive in Slovakia and you want to try, everybody heard about the Budweiser, so the Budvar. I'm not talking about the American one, I'm talking about the Czech one. And you have the Pilsner, all these beers from there, but never anybody mentions the Slovak beers, and they are also very interesting. And so we will take you where you will have a cooking demonstration with a chef in Slovakia, in Bratislava, but you will also need to have this little beer tasting if you want. If you want to try just the desserts, feel free, go for the desserts. That's why they're here. And we will take you to places also like the Greinburg. So the Greinburg is absolutely stunning. It's just, as you can see, overlooking the Danube. It's a hunting lodge. So it doesn't look like it from here, but it's a beautiful hunting lodge. And you learn about history, but you learn about history in a fun way, because this actually castle in the middle of nowhere, because it's really between Linz and the Vaquel Valley, that's really one of the main hunting lodges of the Saxon-Coburg-Gotha family, which is the mother branch of the Windsor family. So basically, the royals, so when we see Harry and Meghan on TV, but originally they all come from here. So that's and it's really great. You get to visit it. We have a little glass of wine. We're welcome. There is a performance even for us by local people of traditional dances of the area, which is absolutely beautiful. People, and then you just walk down to the ship. It's like 7 p.m. You walk down to the ship, 10 minutes, you're there, or you can go through the little village. In this little village, in the middle of nowhere, as I said, you have the oldest theater in Austria. It's like there. It's been here for 300 years, and you can even still visit it. It's absolutely beautiful. And you walk to the ship, you have your little dinner. If you want an ice cream, there's the best ice cream shop right in front of the ship. So feel free to do that. You have really these all these different things that happen along the Danube. So of course we can talk about the summer festival. They're really everywhere, and they are of course in Budapest. But you have the Sommerspiele, so that's also in Vienna. You have, when you go towards Serbia, so on the lower Danube, you have really the Exit Festival, for example, which is a 3-day festival in a medieval fortress called Petrovaradin in Novi Sad. And it's gigantic. You have like 100,000 people coming there. It was pre-COVID, I must say. So I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll take a zero down for the next edition. We'll have to see. But this is something that, I mean, people go out. That's what we do. It's summer. It's nice. It's not something specific to the Danube. That's what people want to be in exteriors when the weather is nice. I was talking about the Sommerspiele. If you look at the next slide, that's in Vienna. So in Vienna, you have in the Palace of Schönbrunn, so the summer residence of the Habsburgs, you have also outside concerts there in the gardens of the palace, and you can really, I mean, enjoy it. I mean, you have several ones at different times of the day. There are even some in the heart of the city in the Stadtpark. The Stadtpark might not talk to you very much, but everybody has seen, when we talk about Vienna, everybody has seen this golden statue of Johann Strauss with his violin. That's where the Stadtpark is. And you have people, you have pop-up concerts that just arrive like this. It's really a magnificent area. And as I said, we have also the summer festival in Bratislava. So that's really, the ship is docked. If you look really at the bottom right, you see the tip and you see the front of a ship here. I'm not going to mention the river cruise line, because looking at the ship, I know exactly which cruise line it is. We're not going to mention them today, but we are even closer to the city center. But all around the castle right there, you have also concerts, festivals that happen all the time. So that's really a great moment, especially, I mean, July, August, what I see as a cruise manager is also many people coming with their families, because the kids are, I mean, the kids, when I say kids, I'm more talking about, teenagers, 13, 14, 15, which is always, I always love when people tell me, oh, so there are kids. And at the end of the week, we usually see that the kids are the ones who behaved way better than the adults. And it's a great time for that, because it is really cultural for the kids, yes, but it's not boring. You know, there is really a great approach of pedagogy. So really, we want the kids to learn and have fun. And there are many aspects. The building that you see in the far, completely to the left of the picture, it looks like a glass building, exactly this one. This is the so-called Ars Electronica. So that's the Science and Technology Museum in Linz. It's the most advanced in all Europe. And we can go and visit there. Actually, as a cruise manager, I was invited to go and to have my first 4-dimension experience. So to really, because we all talk about 3D, yeah, okay. And then the 4th dimension is really to get conscious about what time is. It sounds like really like a concept, but when you're there, you understand what time is. It's really absolutely amazing. And the kids, no matter what age they are, they really love these experiences there. That's really, really a great time. And of course, you have the foodie aspect. I just mentioned it a little bit with the apricot, but really you have the summer. Trust me, the crew knows exactly. If you want an ice cream, the crew knows exactly in town. They will send you to the best ice cream spot. When you're in Vienna, you want these beautiful cakes with exactly what you can see. They will tell you, but also on the ship, you will have a delicious food no matter at what time of the year you go. So now, summarize this for us, Brian, please.
I will. So yeah, back to the families. You know, we at Alma Waterways, one of the things that we are seeing happen over this as a result over the last year with the pandemic and all is that the family get-together travel, multi-generational travel that was going to occur has not occurred, right? Because people worried about giving grandma and grandpa COVID, et cetera, et cetera. So we are seeing a trend with, again, the multi-generational families that are looking forward to doing sort of what's called revenge travel because they didn't get to do it last year, maybe not get to do it this year, but hopefully maybe even later this year at Christmas time or certainly in 2022. So we do have triples and quads on our ships. That means cabins that accommodate 3 or 4 connecting staterooms as well. So just want to kind of highlight that and that 4th bullet point about multi-generational travel. I think that's important to mention. All right, so now beautiful time along the Danube as well as we move into the fall.
And the fall is really one of my favorite, and you will see why in a few seconds. Especially when you're on the Danube, when you're in these areas where you have a lot of vineyards. I mean, for me, when I came to the United States at the beginning, you know, I heard everybody talking about the colors of Michigan, and I didn't understand why everybody was talking about. Have you been to Michigan in fall? I'm like, no, I have no idea what. And so, and you see, and everybody starts showing me these beautiful colors, etc. I'm like, well, yeah, that's like along the river in Europe. I mean, because the vineyards do the exact same. But of course, it's a bit more. I think it's much more dramatic when you're on the river because you really see the cliff and everything is passing very close to you, like you see here. And so that's also in the Vaquel Valley. That's when you're going down the stream just before the Devil's Wall. It's a beautiful change of scenery, and again here you really see that the light changes. Everything becomes more, it's like hazy in the morning when you arrive in this area of the world because you have differences also in humidity in the air. So it really changes your view and your perception of everything. But the reason, and I saw that you were changing the slide, is that we have the Heuriger season, and this is also so the Heuriger season is when you have the new wines, now the brand new wines, and the Heuriger is 2 things. And the Heuriger is the new wine, but it's also the name of the winery, of the little restaurant, basically, where you will be able to go. You have that in Austria only, and only around surrounding Vienna. It's really an amazing place to go, and there you really get to understand. And people ask me, can we go with you? I'm like, yeah, of course, I'll take you. I'll show you. Because you understand the Central European sense of community. You see the tables and the benches. You will see that everywhere. You don't have super fancy chairs. That's not the idea. The idea is you arrive. There is one menu that is very simple because usually you are here to drink the new wine. And you will start talking to whoever is next to you, and that's how you communicate. I mean, you don't know people. The first experience I had with that is when I went to the Hofbräu house in Munich, and all of a sudden, all these people, yeah, come here, Frenchman, and we started talking. and that's a great. People love it. People absolutely love it, and I do too, I must admit. But also, what is great is that it is exactly the concert season in Vienna. So we have a picture of the opera. The opera house in Vienna is absolutely unique because it's the only one in the world that plays a different piece of opera every day of the year. So that's there is no 2 that are doing this. But what we call the classical music season, you have 106 concert halls in Vienna, and actually there are quite a few being built, even more, but they are small. The largest of them is actually the Redutensaal in the Hofburg Palace, which you will see in a second, and it's only for 600 people. That's the largest concert hall when you think about it. It's not a concert like we just saw, I don't know, the Super Bowl where you have 40,000. I mean, in normal times, 50,000 people, etc. 600 people, and that's, you see here, that's the entrance to the Hofburg. So actually, the Redutensaal is on the left if we look at this picture. But this imperial palace here is absolutely amazing because so you see, of course, the 2 horses. The left part of the building here, that's where you have the Spanish riding school. So that's, and you have the famous Lipizzane, so these white horses that do dressage. And if you want to see that, it's not part of the tours, but go to your cruise manager and we will help you. How many people have I sent there? I mean, and I've gone myself, of course, because you don't want to miss that. And then if you're more interested in the history of the Habsburgs family, the entire right part of the building here, these are the apartments of Kaiserin Sissi, of Princess Sissi, and you can visit that as well. The Hofburg is a gigantic palace. I mean, it's absolutely huge. You have also, because you have a lot of free time when you are as I said, and you have free time, we want you to enjoy. You have the Globe Museum. If you've ever heard, if you have a museum that you have absolutely want to see, even if you're not interested in geography, the Globe Museum inside the Hofburg Palace, you have a collection of globes, of terrestrial globes that are, I mean, so the oldest ones are 600 years old. They have older, but they are not shown to the public. So really an amazing possibilities in this country. And of course, when you will be in Vilshofen, so Vilshofen, that's where we start or finish a cruise, we have the Oktoberfest. And the Oktoberfest, why Vilshofen? Because Vilshofen is a super small village. But the truth is that a man named Josef Groll, he was the inventor of the Pils beer. I'm sure everybody has heard of the Pils beer, a Pilsner beer. He came from this little village, and we have a great relationship. Actually, the young lady that you see on the picture, her name is Cosima, and she's the wine queen, the beer queen, sorry. And what's the job of a beer queen? Is that she represents the beer makers, the beer breweries of her village through Bavaria. Then there are contests with all these, where all the beer queens really are tested on their knowledge. And the one who wins will be representing the German beers everywhere in the world for a year. So, and they're really, it's really great moment with the pretzel, with the beer, the Papa music, and it's just in front of the ship. Right? When I say in front of the ship, it's 10 yards. I mean, somebody who, you cannot, that's really the only place in the world where I can say you cannot get lost between the tent and the ship. If you get lost, I lose my job, that's for sure. But it is really a great time. And of course, the wine cruises are also very interesting. Why? Because there the harvesting usually is just done. The main harvesting season will be from the end of August, September. This depends, of course, on the kind of grape. And then it will stretch. You have regions in Germany, especially when you get the Pinot Noir, which is what you see here on the right. This can go into mid-October, because the Pinot Noir up there is harvested very, very late. But the great thing is that after that, once the harvesting is done, you really get to see and to enjoy all the vineyards themselves. You don't need to go in the cellar, but you get to enjoy how to take a beautiful look at the vineyards. We have, for example, wine tastings in the vineyard, because why would you be inside if you can be out there and really understand how a vine works? Why do the leaves change colors, etc. So these are all these things that you will get to experience on these wine cruises. And again, we have the wine hosts who are American, and they're here because we want to make sure that you understand the wine language of the area, and they will educate you on that.
Absolutely. And that's part of the reason, back to the wine hosts that are on board. Yes, many are from North America, many from Napa, Sonoma area in my neck of the woods. And they are well-versed in not only old world wine, which is the wine you're going to be tasting, but of course their own wines as well. And they're going to conduct 3 different tastings on board that are quite fun and educational. And then there's going to be a wine paired dinner where they'll have 4 to 5 varietals of their wine that they've shipped over, we've shipped over actually. So it is very, very well received indeed. And of course, the fall colors, which sometimes you equate with, say, New England, you're going to experience that here on the Danube as well. Quite beautiful. So now we move into a time of year where you think wintertime on the Danube, I want to take a river cruise in the wintertime, and the answer is 100% yes. So go ahead, Sebastian.
It is. I mean, I think the picture talks for itself. I mean, you don't need to explain out there. I mean, the traditions that you have when it comes to Christmas markets are absolutely amazing. And what you see here, it's the main Christmas market in Vienna. That's the city hall that you see there. I mean, Vienna is great for that. It has 20 Christmas markets. You cannot see the 20 Christmas markets in the time you're there, but we have really tours that will take you you will be able to enjoy 3 or 4 in one day. And trust me, once you take a Christmas market or Christmas time cruise with Amaran Waterways, by the time you're done with the cruise, and let's say that you would have taken a pre or a post extension in Budapest or maybe in Prague, you will have seen about 15 of them. So you will be vaccinated against Christmas markets, if I can say so, and you will be an expert Christmas marketer. But what I like also is our ships, because I did not talk too much about our ships, but you should see our ships at Christmas. We have them, and it's really not only the most elegantly decorated ships inside, and our guests are always stunned when they come, because they will go on a tour in the morning, and the crew, and you have our 50 crew members who will decorate the ship in a day, and people come back and they think they're on another ship. And the great thing is also that, I mean, having ships very well decorated from the outside, you never get lost, because you have harbors where you have quite a few ships. And I mean, of course, when you leave at 10 a.m. and it's daylight and it's beautiful, and you come back at 4 p.m. and it's already pitch dark, and you're like, where is my ship? And then you see one that looks like a Christmas tree pretty much. So you just go there and you know it's your ship. And that's, people recognize our ships. It's a lot of fun. We have evenings on board the ship. I mean, what I like is when we host the Christmas tree decoration, because you always have 3 different Christmas trees. And I always tell my guests, it is not a competition, but everybody gets competitive. You want to have the nicest Christmas tree ever, huh? And then you go visit the Christmas markets. You see down here Gary Murphy, so one of our owners, and they were. So that's at the Karlsplatz. It's another Christmas market in Vienna, and he has the absolutely must-have, exactly, the mug and the little boot, because there's one thing that you cannot go without when you're on a Christmas market cruise is mulled wine, and you will find mulled wine on the ship, off the ship, punch as well, because again, not everybody drinks alcohol, but a nice little mulled wine. You know, if it's cool outside, and it will be cold outside, it's winter and you're in the Alps, so it will be cold, but it has to be, because drinking mulled wine, if you have 75 degrees outside, it's absolutely disgusting. So you want to drink the mulled wine when you have 35, 40 degrees, and then you see on the bottom right, you see also the different sausages, they have, when you go, for example, you have some Christmas markets where they will have these beautiful potatoes. You don't even know where the potato comes from. It's really that big, and they make it, and they will have raclette cheese. So they shave the cheese on it. It falls in the potato, and you just walk around and enjoy your little potato. It's probably 5,000 calories, but you don't care very much at that point. And the decorations, that's what you want to see. We go. So of course, Budapest is one of the best decorated cities when it comes to Christmas markets, especially when you go to the Gerbo Square, so where you have really the main Christmas market. But my all-time favorite is the one in Regensburg, the one that you have on the next slide. That's what we call the romantisches Christkindlmarkt. So that's inside a castle. And this one is the most beautiful. You see, Turn and Taxis is written Turn and Taxis. That's the name of the family. It is the Turn and Taxis. It's the St. Amaran Castle, and it's owned by the Turn and Taxis family. And they have what they call the romantic Christmas market. Nothing at this Christmas market, nothing comes from, everything is regional. All the crafts, all the everything that you will see is made on site, or it's brought from the region. And when I say made on site, it's because, for example, you have a booth just outside where they smoke the salmon. So of course the salmon doesn't come from the area, but they bring it fresh, and they will smoke the salmon. So you have people coming and say, I would like that for tomorrow. So, okay, and then you walk around for an hour and a half. They will smoke the salmon. You can go away with that, or you can taste it. You have all these little beautiful wood Christmas ornaments. There is a little booth there. When we walk with I know that people love Christmas ornaments here much more than in Europe. I mean, Europeans, okay, we have Christmas ornaments, but it's not here. It's really a big deal. And when you go there and they are made in front of you, that's something that you just don't forget, because not only can you be certain that that it's really made in Germany, but also it was made in front of your eyes, just in front of you. So it's really an amazing time. You have also, of course, a lot of Christmas markets. When you go to Salzburg, when you go to Vienna, you have them all along the way. So every day, except in Melk. I mean, Melk, it's such a small village. They only have 3 booths, but you feel the Christmas atmosphere as well. And every day you will be plunged in this atmosphere. It's amazing. It's an amazing time.
Couple things I'll mention here, because Sebastian's been mentioning the Vaquel Valley, and that is a UNESCO World Heritage Area. It's, how long is it? About 20 some odd miles, or a little longer than that, Sebastian? The Vaquel Valley?
It's 24 miles long, yeah.
24 miles. So it's, but as I mentioned, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it is also Rick Steves, Mr. Europe on PBS, with all of his shows and books and whatnot. He calls that section of the Danube River through the Vaquel Valley the quintessential river cruise experience in all of Europe. So that's coming from Rick Steves. So that's pretty good to know that what he thinks of that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention as well is that we are seeing for this particular coming holiday market time, Christmas market time for this year, where we are seeing new bookings occur is for this coming Christmas time, because the odds are really quite good indeed that we'll be back cruising by then. So if you're wanting to think about Christmas time with family, getting together with extended family, that kind of thing, certainly this Christmas is an opportunity for that. Now, Sebastian, did you want to quickly just give, because we're not going to spend time today on the lower Danube. This is a whole nother world where you're leaving west of Vienna and heading into really a different culture, right, Sebastian?
Yeah. Quick question before you go on. Can you just mention when the Christmas markets begin? Because it's not specifically Christmas, New Year's, there's an extended period.
These are, they're running basically around the 4 weekends of the Advent calendar. So the 4 weekends before Christmas Eve arrives, that's when you have the Christmas market. So typically it will start around November 28th, November 29th. And it depends. I mean, you have Budapest, I mean, they start November 5th, and Prague finishes January 15th. So I mean, some of them are very a little bit off limits.
It's a wide window, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, the lower Danube, that's a completely different experience. I mean, I love it. When I say completely different, is that it gives you a completely different face of Europe. Because many people, when they go there, they have this conception of basically the Iron Curtain. You know, that's on the other side. It's still, but that would be a little bit restrictive to just limit this part of the world to 70 years or 50 years of communism, really, for some of them. There's much more to that. It's an amazing place. As a matter of fact, I'm taking a group of friends of mine next year on the Ama Magna. We will start in Istanbul, and then we will go all the way up. You come back in the good old days. And when I say the good old days, for Europeans, it's before the euro. So which means that every day you will visit another country. So this means that every day you have a new currency. And that's something, I mean, and when you look at this monopoly money, I mean, people are like, oh my, what am I going to do with this? And they look different than this one. But it's really fun to do that. And you have, what I like to really point at is really the history of these countries, because they've been through a lot. I mean, not only in the past 70 years, but I mean, you take Romania and actually even more Bulgaria. Bulgaria is a country that has been invaded countless times. I mean, the Ottomans were there, the Russo-Romanians were there, the Habsburgs came. So and yet the country is still here. It's a beautiful country. I mean, when you go to places like Veliko Tarnovo, for example, which is a former capital city of Bulgaria, way before Sofia, and you have this city that is built, and so the river makes a huge S, and the city is built along that on cliffs. And you just arrive there, and it's a wow moment. I mean, I've been there probably 20 times, and every time I stand at the same spot, and there is no place there's no place in Europe that I like more, and especially the food. I mean, even if you're gluten-free, no matter, they will accommodate everything. And this is really, I say that to my guests every time we go, because we have lunch there. It's a full day excursion. That's where I've eaten the best tomatoes and salads in the world. They have a taste that they don't have anywhere else. No pesticides are used, etc., etc. It is amazing. The people are amazing. When you do a pre or post extension, you see Sighișoara, Brașov, Sinaia, Bucharest. That's again when you arrive, start a cruise or finish a cruise in Bucharest, you have one vision of what Romania could be, and that is mainly the Nicolae Ceausescu, so who was the dictator, the Romanian dictator, who was, he built the People's House. The People's House is the second largest administrative building in the world, right after the Pentagon. So he wanted that as a palace. So it already gives you an idea of how disturbed the man was. But then you just drive 2 hours north and you arrive in Brașov, and already from Sinaia, you think you're in another country. I mean, the first time I went there, I was like, that's not possible. Beautiful places. You will see castles like Peliș, a royal castle there that had the oldest elevator in Europe, more than 150 years old, and it still works. So really an amazing time on this cruise. And there's a lot to say about these 5 countries.
So we'll have to, at some point, Jacinta, we'll maybe think about down the road a lower Danube presentation. But today we focus mainly on the upper Danube, but certainly the lower Danube is worth visiting. And as Sebastian mentioned, the incredible Alma Magna, the double wide ship, is also able to do the lower Danube as well. So now we'll just remind folks that we are offering webinar attendees this wonderful special to the left, which is buy one, get one, 2 for 1. We don't really do that as a company. That's not sort of our strategy. But in this virtual world in which we're living, before we're getting back out there and traveling, we have decided to offer these 2 for 1 fares. So this one is on the Danube. So excellent. It fits with the topic today, a romantic Danube itinerary towards the end of October. Beautiful time to be there. The key is you do have to reserve with Jacinta by March 31, and a reservation, what that entails is a $400 per person deposit, and then final payment will come up 3 months prior, so that'd be towards the end of July, right? Yes. So now if you can't do that, even though that's very compelling, you can book anything with Jacinta for this year or next year, and that again is by the end of this month. And we'll, again, to say thank you, offer you an additional $100 per person savings, right? So that's the virtual event offer. Now, this program, we have found out for sure today that this complimentary land package offer is coming to an end March 31. It has been extended, what would you say, Sebastian, maybe 3 times it's been extended, I think, since December, right? December, January, February. It's ending. And this has been an absolute home run. And what it is, as you see there, is on primarily our French programs, but also on select Danube departures this year and next year. We have wonderful pre and or post cruise land programs where the cruise manager will actually be with you at the property. Anyway, we're giving these away. So the value proposition up to $2,800. So that is something to really consider as an inducement, if you will, to make a reservation. And it's really done quite well, but it is coming to a hard stop March 31. Any thoughts on that, Sebastian?
You just said it. I mean, we really know that it is the moment. And I mean, any thought, if you're going to go on vacation and you're given 3 or 4 nights extra at no cost, I mean, for me it's a no-brainer. I would take it.
There you go. A no-brainer. I should.
Jacinta wanted to say something.
Go right ahead.
So that slide did recap the pre and post land offers on the France itineraries we talked about a week ago, but I want to just highlight the bottom one. The one at the bottom of the list is 3 nights in Prague on select Danube cruises. Yep. And I did have a question last week about when these are applicable. They are applicable to late this year when the cruises start again, but also 2022 next year. It's just the 2 for 1 is one date, which is end of October of this year, which is a 50% off, tremendous savings. But the 3 nights are available for other dates. And the savings that Brian mentioned also applicable to all the dates. And I may have an additional bonus or 2 you'd have to talk to me. We'd have to talk about individual dates. But the important thing to stress is that this does expire at the end of the month. It is not being extended. So if you're eager to experience a river cruise, we have a lot of experienced ocean cruise attendees on these webinars. If you're eager to experience a river cruise, if you're interested in Danube and prepared to travel in 2021, this year at the end of October, that 2-for-1 is a steal of a deal. Absolutely.
Absolutely is right. Thank you, Jacinta. Other opportunities for next Christmas time, 2022 holiday triple savings program is in the marketplace for our solo travelers. And I think this just got extended, Sebastian, so I may need to update, but our solo travelers able to sail in a balcony accommodation, which is a double occupancy accommodation, but we're only going to have a 25% solo traveler surcharge. That's another nice special as well. We mentioned the complimentary land. And we're seeing a lot of people that want to do back-to-back, not just for a 1 week on the river, but they want to string together back-to-back departures. So we're offering an additional 10% on consecutive sailings. Again, that's something we're seeing. This is the webinar next Thursday at the same time at 12 noon. We're going to delve into Portugal and Spain and the beautiful Douro River, also UNESCO World Heritage Area, the Douro River Valley. We'll have a guest presenter that day as well. Unfortunately, it's not Sebastian, it's someone else. So Sebastian, you're going to be free next Thursday at 12 noon or 3 o'clock your time. Maybe you can get out on the links and play a little golf. You won't be doing the webinar, but we do have a wonderful presenter who's coming to do that one. And then indeed, the story continues. Beautiful Amalea there, fireworks show. That's probably New Year's. There's Jacinta's contact information once again for you all. And then we do have time to answer a few questions here if we've got some.
Brian,
yes.
While you look at those, let me make a few other comments.
Yes,
for next week, we are talking about Portugal with an extension to Spain. So it's Portugal and Spain. I know that there are travelers that are interested in the cruise tour, the combination. But I did want to just go back to last week. I did an interest poll on the regions of France from the attendees. And the survey says #1 choice was Burgundy and Provence. A very close second was the Bordeaux. Also some interest in Seine-Normandy. But I have selected a date for next year, 2022, end of May, on the Burgundy and Provence as a group getaway, one of my 25th anniversary group getaways, and that is combinable with the 3 nights in Barcelona land extension. So it's end of May. It's actually May 23rd for the 3 nights Barcelona, then the 7-night Burgundy and Provence. And there is a very intriguing post-extension over to Geneva, Switzerland that's optional if anyone is interested in. So you will get a combination of Spain, France, and Switzerland in a 2-week trip. Now, I want to mention there is the free nights in Barcelona, includes transfers, accommodations, and tours. You're not just dropped off for 3 days. You will have a cruise manager, someone like Sebastian, who is very knowledgeable and professional and there to assist you as a concierge. But we do want to also remind you there is the $100 per person savings. I may also have additional bonuses for you. And remember, it is just a $400 deposit to select a date, select your first choice of accommodations, and lock that in. That's a very small commitment. So just a quick recap on that. And then I did have a question from some viewers about next year. So we are talking about April and May of next year, which is over a year away for the anniversary getaways. There is still the April Ultimate Africa is available. In early May, Egypt and the Nile River, and there are savvy travelers who have already signed up for that. And then we're talking about late May into June for Burgundy and Provence. And just as an aside, Sebastian and I had a conversation, and that is, we both recommend that as an ideal time to do that particular itinerary. Now, Brian, any questions?
You know what? I have a comment here, and this is quite fascinating from Cindy. Thank you, Cindy, for this. And she said, love this awesome presentation as always. Was somewhat emotional for me. My darling dad was born in Vienna, but escaped when the Nazis took over. My grandfather was from Hungary, and he owned, I'm going to mispronounce this, but Sedjadina Paprika. He was known as the Paprika King until the communists took over, and he lost his business. I hope to eventually take this wonderful river cruise with my husband. Thank you so much, Sebastian, and all of you. So thank you for that, Cindy. Very much appreciate that. That's quite.
Well, that brings up a good point. If there is interest in Danube, which is very, very popular, it's old world, European charm, very nice itineraries, multiple itineraries. If there is a consensus on going to the Danube, I can offer that next year as well as a group. And like I said last week, I've had lots of questions in the individual phone calls and Zoom meetings about which groups I may actually accompany or lead. So if there is a consensus on the France, Burgundy, and Provence, I will go with you. If there is interest in Danube for later, possibly for summer of next year, because it's a nice time with the extended daylight, we can discuss that and see, if that's something we can do as a group as well. However, if you want to go on any of these itineraries at any time, talk to me. We'll check availability and make sure that you get your first choice, because there will be a race for space at some point. As people get vaccinated, they have a sigh of relief. There's a shift in perspective. Now, this is all becoming very, very real for end of this year and for next year. So it's important to really think about it, plan ahead. And as these tremendous promotions become available, they are short-lived. They're going to come and they're going to go, so you don't want to miss it. If you snooze, you lose. So be thinking about what you'd really like to do once we get the green light. People are going to really be in, a mode to grab everything that they have not been able to do in 2020, 2021. Of course, I didn't travel. Somebody else may. I did not travel in 2020. I canceled all of my plans. For a lot of you, I canceled your plans. Many of us don't have plans for this year because of the uncertainty, but 2022 looks very, very viable.
Yes, thank you, Jacinta. Yeah, we use the term at the company, a tsunami, that a tsunami is going to occur in terms of the amount of bookings that are going to be happening. We really see that as occurring. And yeah, it's right. The perfect antidote to COVID fatigue, right, is to really book something, get something on your calendar, and then you get that wonderful part of travel that we don't talk about enough, which is the anticipatory part of the travel, where you get to think about how much fun you're going to enjoy. And boy, now is the time to think about that. So, all right. So thank you, Sebastian, very much. Merci.
Yes, merci beaucoup. It was a fantastic presentation. I'm excited to go. I have been to Austria and Germany, but I have not traveled to the other Central or Eastern European countries, but I'm excited to go too. So we'll see what happens with that. But I can't thank you enough for all of your expertise and all of your little bits of information that just add so much spice to this and make it so very, very real for us. Merci beaucoup.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, very good. Okay, so then we'll see you next Thursday at 12 noon, and we're going to go to Portugal and Spain on the beautiful Douro River. All right, see you then. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Bye, Jacinta. Bye, Sebastian. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
That was amazing. It was amazing.
Good. I agree.
It was so nice and tight. It was really good.
I agree. Bye-bye.